Today, we're diving into something pretty huge. We're talking about how a company is using blockchain to completely rebuild our financial system from the inside out. The goal? To make it way faster, a whole lot cheaper, and totally transparent. So let's get into how they're pulling it off. First off, let's start with a question I think we've all had at some point, right? We live in this age of instant everything. Food delivery, movies, you name it. So why is it that getting something like a home loan still feels like a total time warp? You're dealing with mountains of paperwork, endless back and forth phone calls, and just weeks and weeks of waiting. Well, it's because the system that runs our finances is still built on some surprisingly old-school, paper-based tech. And this isn't some small, niche problem. We're talking about a system that manages over $309 trillion in assets. It's almost impossible to wrap your head around that number. And this absolutely critical piece of our global economy, it's all built on a really old foundation. And that creates a ton of friction, delays, and extra costs for all of us. And that brings us to a key problem called rent-seeking. Now, if you're new to that term, here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine a bunch of people are taking a slice of an economic pie for themselves, but they're not actually helping to bake the pie or make it bigger. In finance, this happens all the time with middlemen who add costs and complexity without really adding much value. So you've got this multi-trillion-dollar problem. How in the world do you even begin to fix it? Well, you don't just patch it up. You need a completely new blueprint. And for a growing number of people, that new blueprint is blockchain technology. Let's break down what that actually means in simple terms. At its core, a blockchain is just a shared digital record book. But it has a few special powers that make it a total game changer. First, it's distributed, meaning copies are held on tons of computers, which makes it incredibly secure. Second, it's immutable. Once something is recorded, it can't be altered. It's there forever. And finally, it's trustless, which doesn't mean you can't trust it. It means you don't have to. The truth is guaranteed by the code itself, not some middleman you hope is doing their job right. Okay, so what does this new foundation actually get us? Well, we're talking about automating all those complicated processes, settling transactions in real time, not in 3 to 5 business days, and slashing costs for everybody involved. It brings way more transparency and security to the whole thing. It's not just a minor tune-up, it's a complete engine swap for the financial world. Now, this might all sound like a cool idea for the future, but it's not just a theory anymore. There's a company out there called Figure Technologies that's already building this new system, and honestly, the results are pretty staggering. Let's just look at the actual numbers. This is not a tiny little experiment. To date, Figure and its partners have already processed over $22 billion in home equity loans directly on the blockchain. This is happening at a huge scale right now. But it's not just about how much they're doing. It's about how fast they're doing it. Remember that painfully slow loan process we were just talking about? The paperwork? The waiting? Okay, get this. With Figure's system, a homeowner can get approved for a home equity loan in as little as 5 minutes. That's the difference between weeks of stress and the time it takes you to check your email. It's absolutely insane. And this isn't just some cool tech project that's losing money. It's a real thriving business. Just look at these numbers. We're seeing over 60% year-over-year growth, and they're already profitable, hitting $29 million in net profit in just the first half of 2025. Finding a company that has both massive growth and profitability is incredibly rare, especially in the worlds of fintech and blockchain. So you're probably asking, how is this even possible? How does it all work? Let's pop the hood and take a simple look at the key pieces of tech that are making this whole revolution happen. The whole thing is built on a foundation called the Provenance Blockchain. The best way to think of it is like a special highway built just for financial services. It's public, it's energy efficient, and it's designed from the ground up to handle the security and regulations the financial industry needs. It's a ledger, a registry of who owns what, and an exchange, all rolled into one. Now, if provenance is the highway, the hash token is the fuel that makes everything run. You use it to pay for transactions on the network, a bit like paying a toll. It's also used to help keep the network secure through a process called sticking, and it gives token holders a say on how the network is run. The next key piece is something called DART. This is what replaces those slow, messy old databases that track who owns what. DART creates a single, crystal clear, unchangeable record of a loan's entire life story. Who owns it now, who owned it before, and puts it all right there on the Provenance blockchain. It's instant, it's transparent, and you can't tamper with it. When you put the old way side by side with the new way, the difference is just night and day. The old system is slow, it's manual, it's fragmented. The new DART system is automatic, real-time, and totally transparent. It's a monumental leap forward. We're talking about going from a horse and buggy straight to a supercar. Okay, so let's zoom out. We've seen how Figure is making this work for loans, which is amazing. But this is really just the start of a much, much bigger trend that could change how we own, well, basically everything. The big idea here is called real-world asset tokenization, or RWA for short. All it means is creating a digital version, like a digital twin, of a real-world thing and putting it on a blockchain. This could be anything: your house, a stock, a government bond, even a famous painting. Now, here is probably the easiest way to wrap your head around it. Imagine you could take something big and not so easy to sell, like your house, and turn it into, say, 1,000 little digital tickets. You could then sell just 10 of those tickets to a friend instantly online. That's what tokenization does. It makes big, clunky assets easy to trade and opens up all kinds of new markets. And look, don't just take my word for it. This isn't some fringe idea. This is a quote from Larry Fink. He's the CEO of BlackRock, one of the biggest investment managers on the entire planet. Even the biggest players in traditional finance see this as the next great evolution for our financial markets. And that really leaves us with one final thought. This technology isn't a what-if anymore. It's here, and it's scaling up really fast. So the question isn't if it's going to change finance, but really how soon. It's becoming very possible that your next big financial asset, your mortgage, your car loan, won't just be a line of text in a bank's private database, but a unique digital token that you truly own and control on a blockchain.